Hello, YouTube.
Hey, YouTube.
Welcome to Bourbon and Zeppelin's The Gist. I'm David,
I'm Jeremy.
and if you haven't seen the show before, this is a show where us two guys who sort of know things about things, but not everything about the thing that we're talking about, talk about a thing.
We talk about some of the bits of the thing that we saw on the internet
Yeah, like we sort of know things, and we have opinions about things.
and
so-
what we think it all means.
and what we think it all means.
How we think it all fits together, and maybe how we can make the world a better place by understanding it a little more fully.
Oh, that's
Or less.
That's a very lofty goal.
It is a
I don't know
lofty
that
goal, and I
we've-
don't think we ever come to
that
it.
we've
but-
ever done that. So a lot of big things happened today. So we could be talking about huge stories involving the Supreme Court, the travel ban.
I feel like you're shaking your head because we're not talking about any of the
We're
big
not.
things.
We're not talking about the travel ban being upheld by the Supreme Court. We aren't talking about the Supreme Court justice who has decided to retire. So
There's going to be a
gonna
new-
be another Republican
Conservative.
conservative judge being appointed to that.
Yeah, I feel like those are like one-liner stories. The
Those
thing
are-
happened, and you can feel how you feel about it.
I mean,
and,
it's barely anything.
well, it's important,
yeah.
but it's just important, and that's it.
It is what it is. See, it's almost like we've just reported news to you, and you can go Google it and feel things at home.
Oh, we're like burning through tons of stories, extra stories this week.
Yeah, but instead we're going to talk about the thing that I think most people, I don't know, it was big news for most of the week.
Was it?
Well, it kind of was. It was actually a big thing on late night television last
Oh,
night.
it was. See,
Yeah.
I don't watch late night
Oh,
television
neither
anymore.
do I. It just sort of
Oh,
just
okay.
sort of popped up. I'll tell you about it in a second. So the story we're talking about is Sarah Sanders, the what is she? The press secretary for the president of the United States.
Yep.
She went to a restaurant with some friends and family and was asked to leave by the owner of the restaurant because the owner of the restaurant basically essentially doesn't, what it boils down to, she doesn't agree with her politics, but the owner of the restaurant couches it a little bit differently by saying, you know, I don't believe that you represent the values of honesty and integrity that I try to live my life by and try to set it as an example for my children, so I'm going to ask you to leave.
Right.
Sarah Sanders goes, okay, and she gets up to leave. Everyone else at her table gets up to leave with her. There was no charge for anything that they'd ordered or anything, and that kind of maybe should have been the end of it, but it wasn't.
Of course not.
Because Sarah Sanders decided to tweet about it. So she let her Twitter followers know that she was kicked out of a restaurant called the Red Hen for supporting the president.
Right.
You can sort of imagine how the president's supporters, not followers, well, I guess also his Twitter followers. He also tweeted about it.
Yeah.
Called the restaurant dingy or something like that, or dirty. I can't remember exactly what the word
Dingy?
was, but he was like, don't go eat there. And,
Don't go eat there, yeah.
And
So
so there was a big reaction to that where
the internet blows up and goes crazy.
yeah. So oh man, hey, I remember mine.
You got the hockey.
I'm always scared that I had the wrong hotkey.
All right, so here's the article, and I've linked it in the Facebook feed. By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can watch the making of this video every Wednesday night at 8:00 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.
Yeah. Usually.
Yeah.
Or
Or thereabouts.
there's like some before and after. So you
What
can
happens
see how
before
we
we
got
start
to
taking-
this episode and what we talk about afterwards with the people in chat. Also on YouTube, I will put the link to this article in the description below or to the side or wherever YouTube puts the description when you're looking at this.
Over there.
Could be anywhere.
Over there. Probably. Anyway, so Sarah Sanders gets up. Okay, so I feel like, and I was saying like I was saying before, I feel like there's a bunch of statements that should be made about this story, and maybe no real resolutions to be learned from it. The first statement was that came to my mind is Sarah Sanders didn't throw a fit in the restaurant. She stood up and left, and away we go. That's the way that response should have happened. So kudos for Sarah
Yeah.
for not raising a fuss or throwing a fit or anything like that. Good job. I think we probably could find stories of similar things happening to people on both sides of the aisle, and them kicking up a fuss because they have a right to something or other.
Sure.
I don't think that solves anything. If someone is going to confront you about your political affiliations or your ideologies, and they clearly aren't looking for an engaging debate, let's just go about our business. Let's not fight every chance that presents itself.
Yep. And so if you watched the last episode of The Gist, you might remember we talked about the white supremacist guy who, or white nationalist, whatever term you're calling racists. He got banned from Twitter. Right. And so we had a conversation about, is it okay for Twitter to ban people? Is it okay for bakers to refuse to bake cakes for people that they don't agree with? Like, basically the question was, do businesses have the right to refuse service to people? And we both agreed, yeah, they do. It would be nice if they didn't quite often, because I'm a free speech guy, so I'd prefer that, for reasons, that this racist guy could speak publicly so I know where he is and what he's doing. And we also agreed that it was okay for a business to, for that bakery in this example, to not bake a gay wedding cake.
I love how the whole bakery, that reference, immediately everybody knows what the scenario is. It's, if you could say it's okay for someone not to bake a cake,
yeah,
immediately you know what that's referring to.
Yeah, hopefully. But that being said, and I didn't make this clear last week, and it sort of got driven home a little harder this week, and so I do want to clarify my stance on this a little bit. I am not completely equivocating those two things. I don't think that Twitter banning a guy who's for being racist, or the restaurant owner for asking Sarah Sanders to leave for holding different political values is the same thing as not serving somebody based on the color of their skin or their sexual orientation. I think those are two different things. Again, I would prefer that nobody was asking anybody to leave and we could just get along, but I understand that some people can't. But I think there's a big difference between asking somebody to leave because you don't like how they were born versus you don't like choices that they've made. Right?
Yeah, and it's a difference of fundamentally who someone is versus what they choose to do.
Correct.
Those two things.
And to be fair, some people who are really homophobic also think that being gay is a choice, so they might still agree with me.
Right. Fair enough. And across the board, though, businesses should be able to, I think we both feel, refuse service for basically any reason. I think some of those reasons are silly.
Yeah.
But it's their business to run, and they should be able to make the choices.
Yeah, I'd prefer that if you're going to ask someone to leave, I've managed places and I've had to ask people to leave, but it was always because they were being disruptive or destructive somehow, not just because I didn't like them for any particular reason, right? Oh, you're drunk? Well, you can't be here because this is a movie theater,
The choices that they've made,
right?
Yeah. So again, bringing back to this story, I think we both agree that the restaurant owner absolutely had the right, and she was within her rights to ask Sarah Sanders to leave for whatever reason she wants.
Yeah, I saw a meme going around, like a more conservative meme, where it was like, hey, do you remember when liberals when liberals No, sorry. When that Starbucks incident. They were talking about the Starbucks incident where
Bathrooms?
the two black guys were waiting for someone at the Starbucks and wanted to use the washroom but hadn't bought anything yet because they were waiting for a third party, and then the cops got called on them. And so this right-wing meme is basically talking about, hey, remember when liberals got mad when Starbucks asked some people to leave, and then they forced them to take sensitivity training? And now they're applauding, Sarah Sanders being kicked out, or someone being kicked out for supporting the president. And it blows my mind that people share this thinking that it's the same, that it's on the same level. It's not on the same level. Like, I can't.
No, having said that, I mean, you're right. It's absolutely not on the same level. They are different things, but they both fit in the same bucket of
You're allowed to ask people to leave.
intolerance of someone for who they are, and so I'm going to ask you to leave.
Yeah, but I mean...
Sorry, not sorry who they are. Something about a specific person. You just don't like that person for a reason.
Yeah.
Definitely different level reasons. But you don't like this person for a reason, so be gone.
Although the Starbucks one still doesn't even really make sense. Like, I don't...
That totally does make sense.
Because that one was a little fuzzier. I mean, I think that still did come down to racism, but it wasn't like, get out of here because you're black. It was just like, you guys can't be here unless you buy something.
Yeah, and I didn't follow that story too closely.
Yeah.
It's got
Like,
all kinds of
I'm just
flavors.
saying they didn't say because you're black, but
Of course not.
It was like, it was sort of implied that this probably wouldn't have happened to like me and Jeremy if we were waiting for somebody at the Starbucks. We probably wouldn't have had the cops called on us.
We would have been able to use the bathroom.
Probably that too. I mean, now anybody can.
Now that they've had sensitivity training.
They've changed the policy that
Yeah.
just let people use the bathroom. It's not worth it.
And I can't believe they had to have a policy to do. I mean, okay. Anyway,
I just think it's weird they have to buzz you into a washroom. Like, I hate having to ask permission to use a washroom. I'm not a fourth grader. Just let me go use a washroom.
I know how to do it on my own.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
They buzz me in.
So I think the last sort of point about this story is that it just, once again, it's just another story that punctuates how divided we are right now.
Yeah, so there was a little bit of blowback to this. I didn't actually grab this article, but the one that you sent me where the Yelp reviews.
Oh, right.
So the Yelp reviews for that restaurant went crazy after this broke, where you have a bunch of every review is 1 star or 5 stars. And you can tell how people lean politically by how many stars they gave. People who are left-leaning are like 5 stars. This is the greatest restaurant on the planet. I'm going to name my firstborn child Red Hen. And then conservatives are like, this is an attack on white Christians who
very
love their
fabric
president.
of our
1 star because I can't give it 0.
Yeah. Like, it's all either all or nothing. And it's, yeah.
So that actually leads to the next article that we're going to talk about, which is why the Trump administration's comments about businesses matter. So someone who was, I believe, he was on the ethics team for W. I believe it might be Obama, but I think he was a Republican ethics council guy, and he mentioned that these tweets break a bunch of ethics rules. So Sarah Sanders tweeted, hey, the Red Hen kicked me out for supporting the president. And then the president tweeted, oh, the Red Hen is a terrible restaurant. Don't go there. And so there are some ethical questions that are related to this. Should the president be able to run down a private business? Because you know how that's going to end.
Yeah, it's going to end with people flocking to that business.
Or not.
Well, if it's Trump, and he says this is a bad business, as we just saw with the Yelp, well, it's going to
I'm
it's
just
going to
saying
divide.
it divides, and I
And-
didn't look to see if it's more fives or more ones.
Well, frankly, they should be okay with it because if the popular vote was any indication, more of the country will flock to that restaurant than avoid it.
but do we have to worry about? So Trump has this, and I don't, I'm not saying he did it in this tweet, but he does have a history of sort of calling for violence. He has, if you look at his rallies. He's, talked about choking people and hit that guy, I'll pay your legal fees. If that guy was here, I'd punch him right in the face. Stuff like that, like these are words that have come out of his mouth. And so his base feels empowered to be kind of violent.
Yeah.
And so you sort of see things like, let's hit someone with our car at a rally. You see things like, and this wasn't Trump necessarily, though he did sort of, like the Pizzagate thing. So that's sort of more an Alex Jones thing, but Trump was sort of on board with Pizzagate because he's also a bit of a conspiracy theorist. Where a guy showed up at the pizza, was it Planet Pizza? No, that's Planet Pizza's from Toy Story?
From Toy Story.
No, what's it called? Comet Meteor? So, whatever, the pizza place that the Pizzagate thing was supposed to happen. The guy showed up with a rifle in the restaurant to because he was like, show me where you keep the children.
Comet ping pong.
Comet ping pong. Comet ping pong.
There we go.
Yeah, and so so this is who Trump's base is sort of made up of, is like, and not entirely. Don't get me wrong, but there's a large portion of them who are like unhinged and violent. And so when he says, I don't like something, I always sort of worry for them because, is someone with a gun going to show up? Or are they just going to start getting a bunch of abusive, harassing phone calls from people? It's like he's the head bully. And he goes, I don't like this kid. And so all the other bullies that hover around him are like, let's get the new kid that that our boss doesn't like, that the cool bully doesn't like, and so they're gonna throw spitballs at him and pants him every day, and sure, head bully's not doing anything, but it all happened because he didn't like this guy.
He's still
right. It's that same sort of thing, and so that's why the question is, can they trump negative things about private businesses? Is that an ethical break?
Yeah.
Because they are, public and very, very powerful.
Yeah. I think it's one. I think
let's
you can easily
take the
say,
violence out of the equation.
Yeah.
Let's say it was Obama who
Right.
tweeted something negative about a business.
Yeah, I think it's irresponsible. I don't think it's the correct place. I think it's in poor taste.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we need to do anything legally about it. I think the court of public opinion can sort of take care of that. I don't know.
Well, I haven't actually read the
there's-
ethics code.
There's
but-
immediately other comments here about Oprah versus McDonald's, Oprah versus eating beef. How wide does this go, right?
Yeah, but Oprah's not the president. She's
she's
still
arguably as influential.
Sure,
or
but she's
more
not
so.
right. But there's her station isn't governed by ethical. There's ethical rules. There's rules of ethics that the president and his administration must abide by.
Right.
Legally binding ones.
Absolutely.
That Oprah is not subject to.
Correct. Do those ethical...
I'm not saying that she shouldn't use it also depends. So the McDonald's thing, she sort of thought she was doing the right thing, right? And because that was the whole thing.
Donald Trump thinks he's doing the
about
right thing.
eat less beef. Except he's just right. But she was saying, "Hey, let's eat less beef."
Right.
Right. And he's going, "Screw this independent restaurant who doesn't like me." But he's got law. There are rules in his station that apply to him.
Not that apply to what he says about restaurants.
Why not? It does, though, right?
Does it?
I think so. That's what I'm asking.
That's why this is the gist.
That's what I'm asking. My understanding is that he can't, he can't say don't eat at a place. If he just says don't eat at this restaurant, does that not break an ethical violation?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't. I don't understand why he has an ethical?
Because he's the most powerful person on the planet. So is it?
That's debatable.
It's
but
really not. Is he like? Is it okay for him to dictate like who has, how people feel about a private business? Because that's what he's doing. He's telling his base, "Don't go here." So he's immediately cutting 50% of the potential customers out from that business. Immediately.
What if the business is legitimately bad? What if they agree with him?
What if the business agrees with him?
No, what if his followers agree with him?
They do, regardless, and that's the problem.
Right.
Because they don't think for themselves. They go, "Oh, it's bad. I'm not going to go there."
You can't. No, you can't make a broad statement like that.
I can.
No.
Sorry. That's the assumption. The assumption is that if the president holds an opinion on something, they have massive sway on people. Massive.
Right.
Right? Like, okay, not 100%, but a large portion of them are going to agree with him because it came from the president. He's more influential than a commercial. I guarantee you.
Because of his station.
Correct. And certainly, like a lot of large celebrities are. I'm not saying that other large celebrities can't do the same thing. I'm just saying because he's the president, there are actual rules that apply to him.
Right. Okay. So, and Kendall's pointing out, flip it the other way. So, is he allowed to then endorse something?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Like maybe. I don't think so.
I feel like you can't have it both ways. So either the president can't
I don't know.
endorse.
I think
and legitimately
sort of depends.
Kellyanne Conway got slammed for endorsing Ivanka Trump's line. Because of her station, she was not supposed to be endorsing Ivanka Trump's clothing line.
Is it because it was Ivanka Trump? Is it because of who Ivanka
maybe.
was, or is it
maybe.
because of who Kellyanne Conway was?
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. Like, because I feel like presidents are always like, "Oh, this is my favorite restaurant. Like, I always go here for ribs or whatever," right?
See,
and I don't know if that's necessarily an ethical violation, but I also don't think
that one
that's
has to be an ethical violation if denouncing a restaurant is an ethical violation, because the ethical violation is using your station to influence public opinion, right?
fair.
So it's either got to both be or not.
So we don't care about what the influence is.
I don't think you can care about what the influence is. We have to either say, and
What about if it's, okay, like, and again, because I haven't read the ethical thing, like, what if it's just because he's attacking his perceived enemy?
that's because perception is so subjective. I don't think you can actually legislate on that.
But you can sort of tell, he's attacking this, it's very clear, I think, that Trump has attacked this restaurant because of their political stance.
Absolutely.
So
that's clear in this case, but it's not going to be clear in every case, so you can't very easily make legislation that's broadly mandating that he can't use his influence.
Well, there already is.
Is there actual legislation?
The office of the president has ethical rules, guidelines that they are expected to follow. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know.
Right. So I think what we actually have to figure out whether we should do this as like a homework takeaway, because, or are we just going to debate whether or not there should be, whether or not.
I mean, I kind of want to know what the actual rule is. I kind of don't have a problem with people endorsing things depending on what they're endorsing. Like, Trump shouldn't be endorsing his hotels because this is a conflict of interest. He shouldn't be right. He shouldn't be.
So there you can say, you can define what a conflict of interest is, right? He's going to use his station to do something that's going to have an influence on his financial situation.
Sure. Yeah. But he already doesn't do that. I don't know why this isn't a bigger problem, but whatever. Because he doesn't have his stuff in blind trust. But he's also, Shoot, I totally lost my train of thought there. It just popped out of my head.
You think about stuff. Kendall actually sent us Government of Ethics, United States Office of Government of Ethics,
Not of ethics, but just government ethics.
Office of Government Ethics.
Yeah,
Sorry,
you kept saying
Office
of ethics.
of lots of things of things.
Mm-hmm. So they can't use it for private gain. Can't endorse. Oh, okay. So
Okay.
there you go. So they can't endorse
Endorsing?
a product. So that's
So
an
they can't.
ethical
Okay,
violation.
so they can't endorse any product, service, or company. Mm-hmm. Now, does that mean that they can't denounce?
I feel like
Right. So it
it feels worse to me. Like I
it
get,
does feel worse to be denouncing something, but it's interesting that the verbiage in here is that they're not allowed to say I like this restaurant. Mm-hmm. It doesn't actually say I don't like this.
Well, I guess in denouncing one restaurant, you're endorsing others.
No,
I endorse
no.
I endorse that you go somewhere else. Sure, it's the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing.
How isn't it?
I think it probably.
If a good lawyer would say it's the same thing. I bet. I would if I was a good lawyer.
I'm gonna ask.
These are all just
I'm gonna,
loopholes.
I'm
right?
gonna
Like,
ask my lawyer about that.
Ask him.
Okay. Yeah, and Kendall says I feel like you can't have it both
No,
ways. I think,
and
I think
he's
that's
right.
probably
You're probably right. Like I
probably
agree with
that's
that.
the way it works. Is that you can't? So you're not supposed to endorse or
Yeah.
denounce if whatever. So anyway,
That went off the rails.
always does. So yeah, the gist of it is, yeah, it actually does matter.
Yeah.
that Trump's doing this. It's not a good thing. It's not going to stop.
No, this is what he's been doing his
it's-
whole time.
It's what he's
right?
been doing.
He attacks his political enemies via Twitter constantly.
Right. And attacking people, that's one thing. That's sort of like what Twitter is for. And people attack him on Twitter all day long too.
No, okay. Like they do, but like who cares? Like who are these people? It's throwing rocks at a tank, man. Like it's he's got
We'll talk
way
about
more
that later.
sway. He's got way more sway
in terms of influence, absolutely. Yep, that's.
I'm
sorry.
not saying people aren't attacking him,
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm just saying
Right.
it's ineffectual comparatively. What other?
You don't think it hurts his feelings?
I don't think he has. Yeah, I think I was gonna say I don't think he has feelings, but I think what he feels is. I think he is so desperate to be liked, and he is frustrated that people don't like him, so he lashes out like a petulant child.
Yeah, I think there's.
I don't think he has
kernels
any
of truth there.
I don't
yeah.
think he has any meaningful friendships with anybody.
That I would find hard to believe because I don't know that there's anybody in this world that doesn't have meaningful friendships.
So I listened to the Penn Jillette podcast.
Yeah.
And he was, so during the whole run up to the election, PBS made a documentary about, they were doing a documentary about Trump and one about Hillary. And Penn was asked to be on the Trump one because he's been on Celebrity Apprentice twice or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was talking to the producers, like, who else did you get?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we're having a real problem because we literally can't find any friends. We can't find anybody who can talk about him, who hasn't just been on a show. You know,
Okay.
like, and I'm not saying he doesn't. I mean, it seems like he doesn't have any.
That are willing to go on a show to talk about him.
Well, it sounds like they couldn't find anybody.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm just saying. Why would if how good of a friend do you have who's not willing to like talk you up while you're running for president?
It depends on the forum. It totally depends on the forum. Like I don't.
Okay,
So-
well, let's say he's got one good friend who's real camera shy. Then
Okay.
that's still not a lot of friends.
Oh, I didn't say he's got tons and tons of friends. That's
Okay, I'm sorry. So we're splitting hairs between 0 friends and 1 friend. the guy can't make friends is the point.
Oh. Yeah, well, I think he's probably definitely a prickly dude. Anyway.
Anyways, that's the gist of it. We gotta go because we've been talking way too long about this. If you're watching on YouTube, you should check us out live on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. We do this on Facebook, facebook.com/Bourbon and Zeppelins. Check out our website, bourbonandzeppelins.com, where we have links to the Facebook page. We have links to this, which you're on, so you don't really need a link to this. If you like what you're seeing, please like the video, share it with friends, subscribe if you like. There's like a notification button I've heard that you can click that will
There's a
let
bell
you,
or something?
Yeah, I guess if you highlight that, then you'll get notifications when
we get our
post new
wings.
things, and one day we might get our wings. If you're watching right now on Facebook, stick around. There's still more to come. Anyways, I've been David.
I'm still Jeremy.
We'll see you next time.
See ya!